This video is mainly for Tim Sanders. I am the guy, or however people pronounce my Facebook name, on the old Livin Lite owners group. I've got a 2013-16 DBS that I boondock in for 7 months at a time. I've gone for 9 months. That was not smart. I went too long and froze my lines. But the short story is, putting solar on your Livin Lite is stupid easy. It might be the easiest thing you've ever done in your life. I did not drill into the trailer. I didn't do any modifications to the electronics on the trailer, aside from changing out the light bulbs, which is not necessary. I did not install the solar panels on the roof by design. That was a part of my plan. And I went from 10 or 15 hours, within knowing nothing, I read for 10 or 15 hours and got everything I needed to know. I then went on to forums where Livin Lite owners were and had alleged resident battery experts and so forth and say, hey, this is my plan. And they would tell me my plan's horrible. I then executed my plan because I looked at it thinking, well, a generator is going to be as much as this. And I want to say I spent in 2019 $800 on the entire setup. And I executed my plan and it worked flawlessly, and then came back and everyone's like, oh yeah, it was going to work the whole time. So the internet had the facts, but it didn't have, like, the interaction on the internet wasn't positive for my experience. I think it's going to be a little bit different now because everybody's done this. I didn't know anybody that went solar when I did it. In fact, I got most of my information from the sailboat groups. And then there was one webpage that looked like it was written in 1994 that talked about some cool little concepts that don't really apply anymore. But I just wanted to say, man, do the thing. I'm going to go over what I've done, what my approach was, but go do the thing. It's way easier than you think, and it works. The setup that I had, like, my approach was, I don't want to install anything on the trailer. I don't know if this is going to work. So the other thing is, I'm from Utah and I'm pretty good at camping in the woods, and I know that if you stick that trailer in the shade, that trailer won't get hot throughout the day in most mountainous places. So the idea is, stick the trailer in the shade, throw the panels out in the sun, and if I need to, I can walk the panels around. In fact, there was one time I was on the Oregon coast in very tall pines, and there was like a 10 square foot piece of sunlight, and I moved my panels every 2 hours with lead acid batteries, not with the lithiums. This would have been a lot easier, and I was fine. I was there the whole week, and yeah, I moved the panels every 2 hours, but it worked. I was out in the woods, tall pines, having fun. So the one thing to know is, I didn't change the internal electronics because I knew I was never going to be on shore power. That was never the plan. Because of that, I didn't need to change the onboard converter charger. If you're going to use shore power, even 5% of the time, go ahead and change the onboard converter charger. It'll save you some money. And if you really want to go overboard, unplug the power wire from the truck, the power wire that charges your battery, unplug that from the truck. The truth is, most lithiums will be fine on the standard charge controller, the standard converter controller charger, and your truck. It's just not the greatest for them. Most BMSs will manage it fine, but if you want peace of mind, or if you have some older lithiums, go ahead and, just disconnect that at the trailer cable and upgrade your converter charger on board, and you'll be fine. The one big thing that you need to do is profile your power. This is where the naysayers really said I did it wrong. I bought this device, which is, I don't know the name of this company. Surelec. I have no idea. Surelec. There's a product called a Watts Up, WATTS Up, and it's just this thing, only it's like $50. This was $10. And you plug this into the wall, you plug your device into this, and you'll find how much power that device is using. I then went through a little engineering website I found saying how to convert, power usage from 120 AC to DC, and posted online saying, hey, these are what I think my numbers are going to be. And everybody said, no, the root mean squared, it's not going to work. Well, it did. The numbers that I got out of that little calculator using this were within 1% of real life actual DC usage through an inverter. The inverter I use is very small. It is a 300 watt sine wave inverter. I plugged my laptop into it. It's pretty much the only thing that goes to the inverter. I did run 2 extra 12 volt, car style 12 volt ports in my trailer, and got DC 12 volt style chargers for everything else, for my phone and so on and so forth. So I have a lot of car chargers. I actually have a 400 watt 12 volt car charger that I can use internally, but it gets so hot it kind of makes me nervous, so I don't really like it. Parts that I bought. I bought 2 used panels. This is where I really saved money. I bought 2 used 315 watt panels for $100 a pop. I wish I bought 4. These panels I bought out of somebody's garage. I just went and tested them. I had a multimeter with me, and I read online you could do this test and it would say the panel's good or not. I tested it, gave her $100 and went. At the time, the only guy online I know that was pricing things out, he had all of these van conversions he was doing and then links to all the Amazon stuff, and it was, $3,000 and $4,000 setups. This 400 watt setup, which would produce about 330, 340 watts, was like $3,000, and it was just too much money. So I went with used panels. I would do it again in a heartbeat. When I do this again, I'm gonna buy used panels. If I ever get enough money to do solar on my house, it's gonna be used panels. They last forever. I don't know where the sort of myth came from that panels deteriorate. They do, but it's so slow. My panels are now 15 years old. I have a theoretical 630 watts I could generate, which you'll never, unless you have perfect conditions in the cold, you'll never get to. And just a few months ago, I generated 550 watts, which is fantastic. So I bought those used panels. It was $200. I did buy my Victron charge controller with Bluetooth. I had to buy a Bluetooth dongle because the smart charge controllers didn't exist yet. That was where I spent most of my money, was that charge controller. So that 150/70 made a lot of sense for me. I plug my panels in series, and if I want to add a panel later, it doesn't have to be a matched panel. I just have to keep it the voltage below that first number, which is 150. I run between 90 and 110 volts, so I could add another panel pretty easily if I wanted to make a small boost. You can also later on, I didn't know this at the time, but you can just add another charge controller to your batteries. It's fine, especially if it's all Victron, they talk to each other, it's fine. I then bought 50 feet of 10 gauge cable. I bought a little kit that had the Crimper and a bunch of the solar connectors on there, the weatherproof solar connectors. I bought, you'll show it, it's Anglo aluminum. I'm gonna cut to where I did the install. It's Anglo aluminum, but the whole thing for me was about $850. That included 2 new lead acid batteries from Costco. The 6-volt golf cart batteries, because the lithiums back then were all $1,000 from Dakota or Battleborn, and now lithiums are much more affordable, and it's much better. I wouldn't even mess with lead acid. It's just a whole beautiful setup. That's pretty much all for the intro here. I'm going to cut to the actual install and show you how easy it was. All I did, as you can see here, is this is where my propane tanks were. So I just unbolted them and slid them forward a little bit. And then this is my charge controller exists in here. And then my batteries are in here. This is all U-bolts. I didn't drill into the frame at all. I got this angle aluminum, cut little slats in it so the U-bolt would fit through it. This is just a weatherproof box from Lowe's. This is where my charge controller is in here. My wires come out of a tube here. This I just put as a cooling tube with a little screen to keep the wildlife out of it. Come up with your own design, do whatever you're thinking. And then this battery box was specific to the 6-volt golf cart batteries that I started off with before I went to the lithiums. And again, you see, all I did is U-bolt this stuff to the frame. This has gone since 2019 is when I did this work. I have been to Florida 3 times. I've been to Idaho every single one of those years, Idaho, Utah, every single one of those years. And I have been to Oregon and Washington twice. So I've done nothing else to this. All stock wiring. The wires that you see here, these are the big ones. Actually, I guess we can show you this. You'll see one of my batteries. I would not buy this battery box again. I spent like 80 bucks on it, and it's no good. This is a shunt. You probably don't need this. If you have, if the batteries are Bluetooth, my other battery is Bluetooth. This one's not, so I keep a shunt on it. Although I have a Bluetooth shunt now, and I haven't plugged it in yet. But these positive and negatives from the camper is totally stock. All I did was add the charge positive and negatives in there. Unfortunately, both the same color. That's why I put a black one on that one. But that's it. It was very simple. It was very easy to do. Again, I might have spent 2.5 to 3 hours on the whole thing. You learn a little bit about the connections you need to make. These connectors here are the solar connectors, and they're weatherproof and everything. And I have this set up to where now when I go to plug my panels in, I can't plug them in wrong. I don't have them mounted on the roof. And what I do is I put the trailer in the shade, and then I have 50 feet of cable, and I would throw my solar panels out here somewhere, much like my neighbor did. So where I store my solar panels is in my very messy trailer right now. I need to clean this up. I just keep them right here on the dinette. They fit perfectly in the dinette. Don't pay attention to the cows. That's a prank my friends pull on me all the time. But they fit in there really, really well. And these pieces of foam are for if they ever slide forward. And right now the slide is out. Otherwise it's pretty snug. And in here is where I have my cable. My reflectant normally goes in my window, but I opened it because I'm running it like this right now. So my rant. Oh, I want to show you one other thing. A little trick that's good to know. So right now I don't have any of the lights turned on, right? It's all dark in here. And this is my shunt. It has since fallen down, but you can see I'm using 2 watts. That's probably the microwave. Oh, actually the microwave's off. There's something using 2 watts. Now I'm going to turn on the light, and we're going to see how much that goes on. So there's 1 ballast on here, and that went up to 4 watts. Show you the difference between this ballast and another ballast. So turning this ballast off, we drop back down to 2 watts, right? Now this is the only ballast I have left that has the standard incandescent bulbs in it. So there's your incandescent bulbs. They're actually not as bright as the regular ones or the LED ones, but we're up to 32 watts. And all I did was go on Amazon. I believe I have a bag up here of them left. Maybe I don't. Maybe I've used them all. But I went on Amazon and bought some cheap LEDs. 32 watts versus 2 watts on your bulb usage, on your light usage. So this is one of the ways. So that's 2 watts. Nothing's on. We'll turn this one on. Again, we're back up to 4 watts. So order of magnitude less power being used by going to LEDs. So that's pretty much everything, I think. Happy to answer any questions. I bet that I've done 20,000 miles on this trailer. You know, the roads have been paved, but where I've camped is not paved. It's all boondocking. I haven't had any issues with it. No maintenance. It was cheaper than a generator. It's less maintenance than a generator. It's easier to set up than a generator. The only thing I can't do is run my AC. I have buddies with the mini splits, and they run their AC all day and all night, and have no issues. I have another buddy did another install this weekend and sent me the pictures and made me very envious. I'm not doing the mini split just because I think it's going to be too tight in the 16 dBs. If I had a 21, I'd have already done the mini split. But the no maintenance, the how cheap it is, the one and done. You know, in the video, I have 2 100 amp hour batteries now, but I usually only run one, and the one is all I've needed as a single guy. Even when I ran 2 batteries that were 6 volt, I only had 100 amp hour usable of 12 volt energy anyway. So the 100 amp hours is usually all you need, and I'm full time. I work remote. I play my music remote. I get everything done off of that setup. It's easy, it's doable, it's free. Again, I used to carry a generator around with me. This is way easier than messing with generators. Go do it. It's not hard. If you have any questions, give me a call.